God's authority must be part of our life. We need not so much possess the message, but rather to let the message possess us. If we want people to see that it is real, we need to be passionate about it and speak the word clearly. Then there will be power, authority, life, and a communication between you and others. So Jesus was passionate when he taught, because he taught with power and he taught with authority. So when we go out and share with someone the gospel, let's keep it simple. Let's be direct. Let's just keep it to the point. Stay focused on the person of Christ. Don't let people take you all over the place with these questions. Just focus on Jesus and be direct with it. So now in verses 23 through 26, we're going to see Christ's authority in his miraculous power. Notice verse 23 and 24. Now there was a man in the synagogue with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." So while Jesus is teaching, the service all of a sudden is interrupted. An unclean spirit, cries out. Who knows how long this guy, we've been attending there. Me and Pastor Keith talked about yesterday. Who knows how long he's been sitting there. Listening to all of this, Or was he there because Jesus was there? We don't know. But not everyone that attends a church knows who Christ is. You go to these churches, and I'll guarantee there'll be people there that don't know who Christ is, and they're sitting in the church. Some may be an antichrist against Christ. We don't know. Waiting for an opportunity to stir things up or receive someone. We don't know. But this guy here, he's sitting there while Jesus is teaching, and now he comes and he interrupts the service. What we do know is that wherever Jesus preached, it stirred up the evil forces, and they recognized who he was, wherever he preached. If you go out through the scriptures and you see the demons come up, they go, "What do you want with the Son of God?" Always they recognize who he is. Let me share with you a little example. Back in '93, I played in a Christian group, and we used to travel on the weekends, especially in the summer, up north and everything. And we used to play in parks, projects, different churches. The guy who led the band, Willie Garcia, Little Willie G, had some songs that did pretty good in the 60s. So most of you are going to remember. But I see one or two that may, but not everyone. and he's real known well today for what they call oldies but goodies. So he would take his hit songs and he would change the lyrics on them because he got saved. He would change the lyrics on them instead of, there's one song where he calls it God's Love now. But it was a Dick Worley name, and he changed it to God's Love. And he tries to use the scriptures in his songs. So one day we're up in Hanford, California, and he's singing, and it was packed with a lot of people, the park. And he's singing, and all of a sudden when he started preaching, the Hispanic guy started running to a crowd screaming, and he was running to attack him. And it took about 4 or 5 guys to hold him down, and they had to call the cops. So there was something. The music was fine, but once he started preaching the gospel, this guy went berserk like a madman. He was wild. Kind of reminded me when I read this, I thought, wow, let me give an actual example of something that I experienced. So those things happen. Matthew Henry says the devil is here called an unclean spirit because he has lost all the purity of his nature, because he acts in direct opposition to the Holy Spirit of God, and because with his suggestions he pollutes the spirit of man, which is true. So true. There is nothing pure about Satan and his demon. He's constantly opposes God's work and God himself, and believe me, his goal is to do what? Pollute each one of us. That's what it's for. He wants to cause you to fall away. He wants to bring some of the past things into your life so you can go for it, and it's going to screw you up. Don't go for it, man, because he wants to pollute you. We're saved. We're in the presence of God now. We need to be strong and hang in there. Whenever these things happen, man, just go to the Word of God, man, just pray. Just pray, because if not, you give him a fraction of an inch, man, he'll get a hold of you. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to pollute you. Like the smog in LA, right? It's polluting us. So this guy is kicking back here in the synagogue, let me ask you a question. Do you think this demon went to be taught or delivered? You think he went there, this demon? Do you want to get delivered or taught? I don't think so, right? It's no heresy, I just asked a question. I have some heresy hunters here. So maybe he came to confront Christ and oppose him, or maybe he was there, to hinder the people from hindering Christ, from hindering the message. But, if you go back to verse 13, we see that Jesus was driven by the Holy Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted for 40 days. And, it wasn't over then. This is just the beginning right here. The beginning of Jesus dealing with the evil forces for Satan from the beginning of his ministry all the way till the end. On the practical note, just like when we're saved, all of a sudden things began to happen that normally didn't happen before. You want to experience that? Because, why is this happening now? It never happened before. Maybe problems at work, with friends, with family members, etc. Well, guess what? Satan and his demons will do all they can to destroy your walk with the Lord. And his goal is to make you fall. And he will continue until we'll go be with the Lord. So just think about it this way. I'm in a battle. It's a lifelong battle. It's not going to end. It's going to be there until I go be with the Lord. He doesn't have any good intentions for you and I, and that's something we need to get deep in our spirits. That there's nothing good about this person. He's evil, he's wicked, he hates God, and he hates you and me. The Bible tells us in 1 John 4:4b, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world, meaning the Holy Spirit. Example, there's two of Pastor T and I before the church started. I called him up one day. I go, I want to talk to you. I go, man, I'm going through something right now. I don't want to study. I don't want to do this. Be part of this. I just don't feel like I want anything to do with it. I try to study and I stop. I don't want to study. And he told me he was going through the same thing too. He wasn't feeling worthy. But that was the enemy trying to bring discouragement in. And that's a good sign, because when he does it, that means that something's going to be good. There's going to be something good happening. See, and he doesn't want it to happen. And those are some of the tools he uses to discourage people. See, he makes you think on the negative things instead of the good things that the Lord can do in your life. So like I said, we have a lifelong battle, but we have a greater one within us. Now this scene was a key event in the ministry of Jesus, what took place here in the synagogue. And the reason is that because Jesus had an opportunity now to show his authority over Satan. The demon didn't want anything to do with Jesus, right? What do you have to do with us? Do with you, Jesus of Nazareth. In the Greek, it's basically what to me, what to you. Just like he told Mary in John chapter 2, verse 4, when she told him, hey, go take care of the wine. He goes, what to me, what to you? Meaning, what is it here? In other words, what between us and you? What business do we have with each other? In other words, go away and leave me alone. That's basically what he's telling Jesus right there. So, they knew their future. He says, did you come to destroy us? This reminds me of the demon-possessed man by Legion in Gadarenes. Jesus came over. He acknowledged who Jesus was. Jesus delivered him from the demons. They went into the swine. They jumped over the cliff, and they drowned it. What I find interesting, though, in this verse is that the demons actually witnessed who Jesus was in front of the people, because the demon cried out, I know who you are, the Holy One of God. So he right there confirmed who Jesus was to the people right there in the synagogue. So how do you think Jesus reacts to this, to him? Let's take a look and see. How does Jesus react? Verse 25 and 26. But Jesus rebuked him, saying, be quiet and come out of him. And when the unclean spirit had convulsed him and cried out with a loud voice, he came out of him. So in verse 25, we see that Jesus rebuked the demon by telling him to be quiet. He told him to be muzzled. In other words, what he's telling him is shut up. That's basically what he's saying, put it in a nice way. So here we see Jesus' power and his authority over demons. So what did the unclean spirit do? The unclean spirit convulsed him and then came out of him. But notice, he beat this guy up pretty good before he came out. He convulsed him. He threw him to the ground. In Mark 9:20 said that he was thrown through the floor. In Luke chapter 4, I think it's verse 38 or 39, it said that he was thrown to the floor also, and he convulsed him. Now, on a practical note, I like this comment that John Corson made. He says the demon left, but not before he tore up this individual. So too, when we rid evil from our lives, when we say, yes, Lord, have your way, as old habits, relationships, patterns are forsaken, there may be some tearing initially, because, we don't want to go. And sometimes things need to really get pulled away from us. But we will also experience freedom and blessing.